Greetings and various assorted salutations. This is the instructions and update for U.S. History 2 for setting up the next unit, or, well, mini-unit, as some might come to call it, the Great Depression. So we've completed our Roaring 1920s unit, and we're rapidly reaching the end of the semester. And so I figure I'm going to release the Great Depression and the New Deal simultaneously, with the understanding that the longer you have it available to you, the sooner you can get it done and move on. Thank you for your patience. I also appreciate the students who check to make sure assignments work right away and let me know when they don't work, because I try and fix them as quickly as possible. We're all trying to get used to this online platform stuff, and so patience and the willingness to test things is always appreciated. Anyways, let's take a look at what we're looking at. There is no required order for doing these activities, but there is an order that flows, kind of, usually starting from the top and working your way down. So the first activity that I recommend doing is Causes of the Great Depression. This will have my introductory lecture. It will also have the presentation slides for it as well, and then there's a vocabulary sheet. I recommend you watch the lecture. You could look through the slides if you needed that as well, and then do the vocabulary. The next activity is the Dust Bowl, and essentially I have a documentary on the Dust Bowl and a history brief. You're going to see a few of these in the next couple units, because these history briefs are really short, really nice for presenting this is what happened. The questions you'll be answering will be over these two videos. And then I have a third video from The Guardian, because there still are dust bowls. And this is what a dust bowl looks like from a drone. I believe there was a dust bowl in Australia, or not a dust bowl, a dust storm in Australia in, what was it, last year, if I recall correctly. And they managed to catch a drone footage of what it looks like to see that storm rolling through. Next activity looks at rural America and Native Americans during the 1930s. We've got This Day in History in 1931. We've got a historical document from the South Dakota's Historical Society. They write articles. There's an article on what's going on in the reservations during the Great Depression. And then we have I believe it's a homesteader from North Dakota, and he interviewed his grandmother and what it was like to live during the Great Depression. You're going to use this information to fill out the worksheet here, the Great Depression in rural America. Let's just click on that to see what it looks like. But it kind of breaks it up into the readings. You may need the textbook, you may not. I provided the textbook link in here. Some people find the online textbook useful or as an additional support. After that, if you're interested in the Great Depression and its impact on South Dakota, this is completely optional, but I would recommend taking a look at the South Dakota Historical Society's issue on the Great Depression. It was published back in, I think, well, this says 1989. And essentially what the South Dakota State Historical Society did is they went through and they tried to find as many people as possible who lived through the Great Depression and interview them. I mean, we have all kinds of different people in here. We've got one of the first female senators. We've got Native Americans. We've got homesteaders. All kinds of people from all walks of life in South Dakota and what it was like to live through the Great Depression. I recommend just skimming through it. You might find a story that's interesting to you, but this is kind of one of those moments where U.S. history connects with South Dakota history. But the last assignment for the Great Depression is the economics of the Great Depression. Essentially, we've got a few documents, the hidden problems, the fact sheet, and then a historical brief on what is the stock market crash. And then this is the assignment. It's a bit different. If you're in my ancient civ classes, this may look familiar, though. Essentially, what you're going to do is, in a paragraph or two, summarize what was Black Tuesday. Include 2 of its causes, 2 of its effects, and speculate on the larger historical impact using the provided resources. You do not need to cite sources unless you use sources that are not included in this assignment. So if you use other sources, just cite them at the bottom of the page at the end of the paper. Additionally, this has another feature to help you out. I would recommend taking a look at the rubric for this assignment. The rubric will tell you exactly what I'm grading. In fact, when I go through and grade it, I'll read your paper, and then I'll click on the appropriate box that rates what is appropriate. I may add comments as necessary, and I do recommend you look at the feedback from the written assignments, because I like to kind of teach writing when I can, or academic writing. So anyways, the things that I'm going to be looking at is I'm going to be looking for 2 causes. I'm going to be looking for 2 effects. I'm going to look at the speculation portion. And then down here, I'm going to look at grammar and spelling. Now, I'm not going to be too much of a stickler for grammar and spelling. The thing I like to think about with grammar and spelling is if the errors are too often or they get in the way of reading the document, that's what loses you points. That's kind of the idea here. I don't expect you to be perfect, but your writing skill, your writing typos should not, if it gets in the way of reading the documents, that's what's bad. I also recommend you learn how to capitalize things correctly. I'm going to be particularly looking out for that because a lot of students seem to struggle with the concept of capitalizing when you should capitalize. But no, so that's the idea here with the grammar and spelling section. So use the rubric to figure out what exactly you need to do and what exactly I'm looking for this assignment. And that's it for the Great Depression activities. Let's see here. Just so you get an idea, the due date for these activities, I didn't post it in this one, I'll have to fix that. The due date for these activities will be May 13th. May 13th. So as soon as you get done with the 1920s, I would go ahead and launch into these. Pace yourself, but do remember that the school year will be ending fairly soon, so you want to make sure you're getting stuff in. Anyways, I hope this little introductory video helps explain how things work, and until later.